Welcome back, New Faith, to the Father's Day edition of Cooking with the Faith. I'm so excited to be here with our chef, our very own, Miss Therese Moore. Yes, I hope you all have been enjoying these episodes and all of these recipes. Hopefully you've tried them. So today we have something special that we wanted to do for the fathers, of course. What better way to celebrate Father's Day with serving your husband, your brother, your son, or whatever with a nice steak? So we have steak and potatoes and shrimp. So we're going to do a surf and turf with potatoes and green beans and sauteed green beans, not just any kind of green beans, and some corn. All right. So Chef Therese is going to handle it from here.
All right. So we're going to do some potatoes.
Yeah.
We have ribeye steaks here. We have some jumbo shrimp. We're going to make Maque corn, as you said. It's like a cream style corn. And we're going to saute some whole green beans. Okay. So what we're going to do first is cut these potatoes. These are just white potatoes. We're going to cut them down the middle, and then cut them down the middle again, and then cut them down the middle again. Can you have that? You want me to do it?
Yeah,
cut it down the middle. Cut it down the middle, and cut it down the middle again. So kind of like steak fries. Okay?
Oh, and that's something.
And so I'm going to let you finish that. And what we're going to do is parboil them a little bit. It's an extra step, but it'll help the potatoes get done a little bit faster. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Because what we're going to do, we're going to cook our potatoes and our steak in the same pan and our shrimp. It's a one dish kind of deal. But we're going to do a few extra steps before to make it really easy.
Yes, I'm here for it. Okay. Let's make it happen.
Once you get done cutting those potatoes, we have some water, salted water boiling over here. And what we're going to do is just drop them in the water and let them boil. We're not making mashed potatoes.
Okay.
We just want them fork tender, because what we're going to do is saute them in some olive oil and butter to crisp them up.
Crisp them up, yes.
Yeah. So.
I like it.
All right.
I like it a lot. That's one thing I think most people tend to forget when they're boiling things, is to add that salt to that water, especially with potatoes and all that kind of stuff.
Rice, pasta. You have to salt the water.
Yes. So it has some kind of...
Yeah. And because these potatoes are going to cook so fast in the oil, you got to start with the salt here so they can taste like something. Okay. So... let's bring this over.
And then you don't have to season as much when you salt the water.
You still going to have to season it.
You got to season them, but it helps it.
The salt, as it's boiling, the salt is going all through the potatoes. Okay?
Yeah. I like it. Okay, so what are you saying? Whose corn? What kind of corn is
Maque.
Maque.
Little Cajun dish.
Oh, okay.
It's kind of like cream style corn when you're using real cream.
Okay.
Not the canned stuff that says cream style corn.
Yeah.
So we're basically going to take some frozen corn. This is a 16-ounce bag. I have a little bacon dripping.
Okay.
You can use a little olive oil, or not olive oil, because you need to fry it, and olive oil may burn a little bit faster. So you can use a vegetable oil if you don't have any bacon dripping. The bacon just gives it a little more flavor.
Yeah, I know you got that can of bacon grease on the stove. Like they used to back in the day.
Okay.
Yes. Mom said, don't you throw that grease away.
So you have your grease, you have your frozen corn, and you're pretty much just going to let it fry. You want it to caramelize. You want the sugars to come out. Okay. You want it to get a little dark on the bottom. Gotcha. You're not burning it. You're caramelizing it.
Caramelizing.
So that's the only thing that takes a little while. You want to do it on like a medium-high heat and come back and check it every few minutes. Okay, so to this corn, I've added some chopped onions, celery, bell peppers. It's called mirepoix. I bought it already chopped. You can cheat, or you can just chop up some onions or green onions. And you can also add a jalapeno to this if you like, but I'm just going to shake a little cayenne. So what I've done, I've put onions, I've put bell peppers, I seasoned it with a little Tony's and some black pepper and some cayenne, because it's supposed to be a little spicy. You can leave the cayenne out if you don't want the spice, but it just gives it a little kick. And with the cayenne, you can kind of control the heat versus with the jalapeno. You're really not sure if you're going to get a spicy one or not. But if you don't really want it too hot with the jalapeno, just take the seeds and the membrane out and just chop up the green part. Okay, so it's becoming, we're almost where we want it to be. But you see where it's brown around the sides? It's starting to caramelize a little bit. We're going to let that sit for a little bit longer. Just stir it periodically so it won't stick. But after that, just kind of let it rest. So now we have our potatoes here. And please, thank you. You just want them kind of fork tender. We're not cooking them all the way, remember. We're just kind of speeding up the sauteing or the frying process. See? They're pretty much there. So what I'm going to do is take them out, put them on a napkin here, just to kind of get that extra water off. Cut it off. Okay, ready. So we have our skillet here. I put a couple of tablespoons of olive oil, and I'll put about a tablespoon of butter in here and let that melt down. And we're going to just add our potatoes to this and kind of let them fry a little bit. And then once the potatoes are done, we're going to take them out and put our ribeye right in. Same pot. Okay?
You got to mess up a whole bunch of dishes. Tell the Lord thank you. Lift your hands right there. At least the one that has to wash dishes.
Okay. Don't overcrowd your pan. Just kind of fill it up there. Turn your heat up. On to help, you know. Okay. We've already put salt on it, but we're going to put a little Creole. So you can season it as you like. I'm going to put a little Creole seasoning and some pepper. And you just want them to get a nice little brown, crispy side, and we're going to flip it a little bit. Now the corn is making noises. It's sounding like it's doing what it's supposed to do. Okay, now you see how it's getting a little caramelized at the bottom? This is where you want it to be.
Started sounding like some popcorn.
Yeah. Okay, so at this point, we're going to add about a half a cup of heavy cream and cut it off. And that's it. You taste it, season it accordingly. Give it a stir. Cut the fire off. That's it. Corn is ready. Wow. It's still cooking even though you cut the heat off. And the cream is going to reduce and get thicker. And that's it. If you wanted to add a little Parmesan cheese to it, you know, on top, fresh Parmesan, that'll make it really good too. But that's done.
These are some really simple dishes, guys. I think
some tongs out of that.
Something that you can try. It doesn't take long. Man, that was some corn, and like she said, you can go to the store, get the blend and all of those things already chopped and cut up. Unless you just want to get in the kitchen and get the chopping. Now get your chop on, but amen, praise the Lord. But for those of you, make it real easy. And you can definitely get this, make these meals. Let's try to get things that are easy. So, all right, so now we're moving to dessert. We have a fudge brownie pie. And that sounds really good, doesn't it? I know. So, Tariq, let's do it.
Okay, so pretty much this is a brownie with a layer of melted marshmallows, and we're going to make a chocolate sauce to go on top. So kind of like a Mississippi mud-ish. So what we have here is very simple. We have an 8x8 pan here. And what I've done is lined it with foil and sprayed it with some Pam. It'll just make it easier to lift up.
Absolutely.
And what we have is flour, sugar, cocoa powder, baking powder, and salt. And what I'm going to get you to do is whisk up a couple of eggs.
Come on.
We have a couple of teaspoons of vanilla and a half a stick of butter. And we're going to dump all that together, pour it in our pan, and bake it for about 25 minutes.
Okay, so you're going to put the butter in here with this?
You can put the butter in there with that. You can add your vanilla to that.
Whisk that so that don't start, because that butter was a little warm when I wanted to cook it. Have scrambled eggs. I don't think you want scrambled eggs with your brownie. Praise the Lord.
Okay.
Won't he do it?
Now, before you pour it in there, take your whisk and kind of stir this together.
Okay. That vanilla smells amazing.
Just kind of incorporate it all. Okay, now you can dump that in there.
You know, I be trying to get all of the contents, honey. Everything. We leave nothing behind, honey.
Okay. Now we get this a little stir. That's enough.
You were telling me it was enough.
It's nothing else in
Yeah,
that
she tried to get me on the
clear
slide.
container. Okay, give it a little stir. It's going to be a little thick at first.
Yeah, it's a brownie.
It's a brownie. And then take these pecans. I put them in the oven and roasted them a little bit.
Come on.
Just kind of brings out the flavor and the oils in the pecans.
Yes.
You can really tell the difference when you roast them. Don't let the thickness get you concerned. It's okay. It's a brownie.
Yeah, absolutely.
Can you smell the pecans?
I do. I smell all of that. It smells amazing.
Okay. Just get it all incorporated. Uh-oh. It's kind of flying a little bit. Now let's dump it in our pan. We've sprayed it with a little Pam, or you can grease it with a little butter, just so it won't stick.
Unsalted butter?
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter? Okay, great. Just don't use garlic butter.
No. That wouldn't be good.
That would be horrible.
What made you think of that?
I don't know. Just pray for me. Just in case somebody that really don't know how to cook, and they just
true.
be like,
It happens.
well, all I got is garlic butter.
Yeah.
Well, no, don't you? I mean, we don't want sweet and savory. Not today.
Okay. All right, so kind of get it to the edges. That's it. This is not really rocket science. And this is going to bake up for about 20-25 minutes until a toothpick comes out clean. All right?
Yes.
We're going to put it in the oven.
That's old school. Come on, toothpick.
Yeah. Or a knife. Knife is old school. Okay, we pull the brownie out of the oven. And what we're going to do is, while it's still hot, we're just going to dump some marshmallows right on top. Okay? Just cover the top with marshmallows. And what we're going to do is stick it back in the oven and let them melt. Okay? And while it's melting, we are going to make a sauce for it. This is something the kids can kind of help you do. They can sprinkle the marshmallows on top.
They like marshmallows. They be eating them.
Yeah, and it was
Like
really
me.
easy to. It was real easy to
That
throw
was
it
a cluster.
together.
They didn't need that in there.
That's right.
It was too much.
Yeah, quality control.
Yes.
Let's put that back in there.
Got my sugar dropping.
Let the marshmallows melt. We're going to make the sauce. So what we have here, a cup of powdered sugar, 1/4 of a cup of cocoa powder. We have 2 ounces of butter.
Yes.
So 1/2 stick.
Butter makes the world go round.
And we have a 1/4 cup of evaporated milk. Not condensed milk. This is like pet milk. Evaporated.
Carnation.
Carnation. Okay, and we're going to give this a little stir. If you want to add a little vanilla to it, you can. I like to add a little bit. You can add about a 1/2 teaspoon of vanilla. And it just makes a little chocolate sauce.
Yes.
So once the marshmallows melt, they get kind of puffy in the oven. You stir this around, and we're just going to pour this right on top. And you can save a little bit if you want to make your father, your husband, whomever, their plate nice and pretty. We're going to put a little sauce on the bottom and then just kind of scoop it on top. So you don't have to
creative and things.
put all of the sauce on the top of the brownie, okay? So we'll set this to the side. It only takes about 5 or 5 to 7 minutes for the marshmallows to melt. You just want them to melt. We're not making s'mores. You don't have to brown them, but we just want to melt them. Okay, so what we have here are ribeyes.
Yes.
And ribeye, it's a nice thin cut, so then that's not going to take too long to cook. Don't be intimidated by steaks. I don't cook them often, but they're really easy to cook, especially if you have a nice thin one. It doesn't take long.
Right.
You don't want to cook it all the way to well because it's just a little harder to chew. So a medium well will work. Right. And all I'm going to do is I have some Montreal steak seasoning. And I like it because it's nice and coarse. It has coarse salt, it has coarse pepper, and some other seasonings in it. And you can see the seasoning on the meat, you know, so you can kind of control how much you want on there versus using just regular salt. It's kind of thin.
Right.
So we're going to season them really well on both sides. And you see our skillet is nice and hot. You want it kind of smoking like that. That's what we want. And this is the same skillet we cooked the potatoes in. Okay. Kind of pat it in there. All right. And just season it to your taste. And I'm just going to put it in there. You want that sizzle. We'll just do one at a time. You want your pan nice and hot. It's the same olive oil left in there from the potatoes. And while we're waiting on our ribeye, we're going to cook that maybe about 3 to 4 minutes on each side.
Okay.
And while we're doing that, we're going to do our green beans. This is quick and easy. Okay? Okay, let's chop that garlic up for me. How you want it? This way? Or this way? Chop it rough chop. That's fine. Uh-oh, our marshmallows. Okay. Can we move over to the marshmallows real fast? Okay. Charisma's cutting up some garlic for our green beans. But we just pulled out the browning. The marshmallows are melted a little bit. And we have our sauce. And that's all we're going to do is pour our sauce on here. Make sure it's mixed up really well. And do it while it's hot so it can, you know, kind of melt down on there. So if Dad is a chocolate lover, this is going to be perfect. And it tastes really good. We're going to save a little bit to put on the plate. But if you wanted to just serve it like this, you can leave it there and we can top it with a few pecans. Just so.
I was thinking another nice little topping.
Or if you left the pecans out, if you didn't put pecans in the dish, you could put chocolate chips instead. Or peanut. You know, if you wanted to put a peanut or cashew, I'm just a southern girl that likes pecans.
Correct.
But, you know, with nut allergies and all that, you can leave that out and you can just top it with chocolate chips. Or just leave it all out. Okay? So we're going to let that set. I know it's tempting to dig into it now, but if you dig into it now, it's just going to be a little mush. But that's good. That's that too. That's how I did it when I did it earlier. But we're going to let it sit for a little bit, and we'll come back to that. Okay?
Oh,
so meanwhile, our steak, it's time to flip it. Flip it. It's time to flip it. Look at that. Isn't that pretty?
Look at that steak.
So let the steak be. Don't start mashing on it. You want all the juices to stay in there. And it's going to cook. I'm just pushing it down a little bit on the side. Meanwhile, I have a couple of tablespoons of oil here for our green beans. And all I'm using is a steamable bag of whole green beans. So that takes that first step out of boiling it a little bit to make them softer.
Yep.
Gets rid of that step. And use whole green beans. It's just a nicer look. You going to go ahead and put the garlic in the
I sure can do that.
grease, please?
I sure can.
Thank you. Now, if you wanted to use fresh green beans, that's fine too. You can cut off both ends and put them in a little salted water like we did the potatoes, just so they can get a little softer. But Bird's Eye did it for us.
Yeah, they did. I love them. I do it all the time. I love sauteed green beans.
And they don't take long at all.
No.
We're just going to put a few in a pan.
You got to have your green vegetables.
Yeah, you got to have a green vegetable. And you can do a salad with it too.
Yeah.
If you like. Make sure you put a little salt and pepper on these green beans because they are very fresh.
Yes, come on, Flip.
Okay.
It's a real chef.
Yeah. Okay, let that be. Okay. So once the steak is done, we're going to take this out, and in the same pan, we have some jumbo shrimp. We're going to season this with a little blackening seasoning. You know, it's my favorite on shrimp, or your Creole, salt and pepper, whatever you like.
Right.
And we're going to throw it in the oil once we take the steak out. They only take a couple minutes on each side.
Right.
And from there, we're going to add a little cream, a little chicken stock, make a little sauce, and our surf and turf will be ready. We can plate up.
Sounds good to me.
That's not going to have to wait too long. So let those green beans cook.
Salt and pepper.
You still see a little red. This is probably right at medium right now. Now you also have to remember when you take it out, it's still going to keep cooking.
Right.
So you don't have to cook it so long. I think we're pretty safe with taking out. Medium can go to medium well very fast. So it's okay to see a little pink. Some people will disagree. Many will disagree. But pink is okay. A little pink is okay. Okay.
We don't want no pink as me.
Cut that down a little bit. Okay. We're going to add shrimp right to the hot oil. Don't worry about all of those bits at the bottom. That's flavor. Okay. Just until they start turning pink, we're going to flip them over.
I needed to taste some things, make sure they were all right.
What are you tasting? I think our green beans
No,
are ready.
just a potato or two.
Oh yeah, green beans are done. I'll put that there. We're just waiting on the shrimp.
Oh,
So at this point, if you wanted to add some onions, you wanted to add mushrooms, some people like mushrooms on their steak, this is when you do that. We're at the tail end of it. Almost done. You don't want to overcook your shrimp. So what we're going to do is add a little bit of chicken broth, chicken stock, to deglaze the pan. If you wanted to add a little white wine, you could. That's another option. Just to get all of the bits off the bottom of the pan. Because we've been cooking so much in here, all of the seasoning is just kind of sticking to the bottom. So if you were going to do white wine, you let it reduce, pretty much cook it out.
okay.
We're going to cook the chicken broth down just a little bit, and then we're going to add the cream. And you let that reduce until it thickens up to a nice sauce. Something else you can add Parmesan cheese to this. You can add a little Dijon mustard to give it a little tanginess. That'll thicken it up as well. A little lemon juice since we use shrimp. That's another option. Yeah, some options here as far as your sauce is concerned. But it's pretty much broth or wine and heavy cream. Yeah, to make a nice little. And then at the last minute, we're going to add a little bit of butter, and that'll kind of emulsify in here and thicken it up as well. And that's it. Then we can plate.
Listen, he's going to love you forever. This is a meal fit for a king.
Let's plate it up. Let's do our potatoes first. You see how that cream just kind of thickened it up? Kind of line them up a little bit here. Yeah, that's perfect. Put a little bit on the bottom first. Surf and turf, huh? That's a lot of food.
It is.
Looks good.
Oh, he gonna be asleep.
Mm-hmm.
Him sleep, honey, after this. Ain't nothing to be done.
That's it. That's a big old plate. Got a little parsley.
He eating steak and the kids is eating chicken wings.
Beef stroganoff.
You hear me? Hamburger helper.
Okay.
That's Daddy's plate. What does our plate look like?
There's some remnants and potatoes that didn't make it. That's what y'all eat. Surely you don't need ice cream with this, but why not, you know?
Honey. Well, you better make sure you use some Splenda. Make this Splenda friendly, honey. Cause listen. That sugar going up. Oh, you out of there.
It's a holiday. It's Father's Day.
It's Father's Day. That's what we go with.
Yeah. Give them some fruit. This will balance it out.
Right? A little acidity to break up the sweetness.
That'll balance it out, right?
All right, so we have wrapped up another episode of Cooking with the Faith. This has been an amazing time. I think that fathers are so well deserving. Fathers, your uncle, whether son, whoever he is, whoever the male figure is in your life, grandfather, so deserving of you taking time out to celebrate them and to prepare a meal that is fit for a king. So Tari has, of course, again, you have a ribeye, you have some shrimp, you have some potatoes, you have green beans, you have some Madishu corn, and then you have a wonderful dessert. Doesn't this look amazing? All of this is so simple. Of course, you can find the recipes. They'll be listed in the caption when we post this. So when you view this, you'll actually be able to go back and see those recipes. We'd like to thank our amazing chef, Ms. Tari Moore, who always does a wonderful job with making sure that we have something to present to you all that's easy to prepare, right? Right. So, anything you want to say to the people, Tari?
Happy Father's Day.
Listen, happy Father's Day to all of the fathers, a part of New Faith, and all over the land and country. Happy Father's Day to you. We love you all so very, very much. Bon appetit.